This is the Hooklying bridge with reach. How I'm setting up for this, I've got a plate. I want something that is somewhere between 2 and 4 inches, but not much more. You can use one of those steps you find at your gym. A big 45-pound plate would be perfect. You can use a couple of books if you're at home, whatever is going to allow for your entire foot to be elevated by just a few inches. Okay. From here, I want to make sure that my knees are in line with my hips, not wider than or too close. Something you can do is put a small ball, one of those little squishy balls, or like a mini dodgeball type ball, or a foam roller. Some of us, foam roller is going to be a little too wide, but let's just keep our knees in line with our hips. Entire foot is planted on the plate, so I feel the knuckle of my big toe, and I'm gently hooking myself underneath so that my hamstrings pull my pelvis into posterior tilt. Now, if you've been to any of my seminars or you've done any work with me, you know that this has to remain soft. Your six-pack has to remain soft in this posterior tilt. Almost every single one of us can take our pelvis, turn our six-pack muscles on, and crunch it into that tilt. What we want to do here is utilize the hamstrings to hook our pelvis and pull it underneath us. So if we feel effort happening in the muscles here and in the glutes, that's okay. That's actually good. But what we don't want is to turn that crunching aspect on. The purpose of this movement is to do just that, to utilize the hamstrings and the inner oblique to pull our pelvis into a tiny posterior tilt so we can open up the mid-low back and then create expansion for the mid-low back so that everything works a little bit better and a little bit smoother, okay? The arm reach here is actually going to start to move up overhead higher and higher as long as we feel like we're controlling it as if we're doing a shoulder flexion test. So I'm reaching here to begin. I'm going to go through the breath, fogging the mirror on my exhale, turning that inner oblique on just very slightly, and then closing the mouth, tongue on the roof of the mouth, inhale, creating expansion for that mid-back tissue. As I go through this breath cycle, I want to start to reach up overhead. Keeping the six-pack muscles off. Only reaching to what I can control. This is probably plenty. And staying in that posterior tilt, that tucked pelvis, to create the open and expanding nature of these tissues here. The relief intention is going to allow for our overhead position to be more natural and open and less restricted. All right, try it out.